I can't not do this job. I don't ever want to not do this job.
I really want to get into this episode. It was a big one for Burgess, finally dealing with the trauma that she experienced over the past year. For you, Marina, what do you think this means for Burgess moving forward, and how does Ruzek fit into that?
You know, I've always had this analogy in my head, like about the Burzek relationship. Ruzek has had his hand extended this whole time, and I've just sort of either just kept smacking it away. And because we don't get the script ahead of time, the last couple of years have been like, how long can he stay? I mean, she's not exactly, they have a great relationship, but she's not exactly tender or like loving with him. And then they told me it's because I have PTSD, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And so I think the fact that like maybe she's dealing with it will allow, I hope, the dam to break between them, because he's been a really steady rock and she has just not been able to reciprocate for him.
Ruzek has really been a rock for her.
Thank you for saying so. So we were just joking about how it's just like the general public just thinks like, Ruzek, get your stuff together. And I'm over here going, Ruzek's had his stuff together. He's been working it.
He's been there by her side, even in this episode saying, you know, don't push me away. I've got you. He helped her through those panic attacks.
Don't look at me like that. I'm not trying to press you. I need you to talk to me. I need to understand what's going on.
It felt like that was a very jarring experience for Ruzek. So knowing that she is going through this, is he going to be a little bit more apprehensive about pursuing things romantically, given that she is struggling with this huge thing right now personally?
The fact that she's been going through something, I don't think he's unaware of by any means. I think that this is, and Marina, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is probably the most dramatic thing that's happened, other than maybe her forgetting her gun. I think there's other stuff that hasn't happened on screen for the audience. Just little moments in time, little moments where maybe she's not herself, little moments where maybe he catches her hand shaking. But these are little moments, you know. I think he understands what's going on, tries to let her deal with it as best she can. You know, after this happens, I think it's an all hands on deck kind of moment, especially because it happens in front of the kid, in front of Makayla.
Everything's fine. Mom's just not feeling well. Why don't you go get ready for bed? I'm going to be up in a minute, okay?
Whatever they have to work out for themselves personally or within their relationship, they're as focused on Makayla as anything else moving forward.
I know Burgess has been through a lot, but also there was some interesting stuff that she got to do this episode, including being trapped in a well. And I was thinking about like the ring immediately when that lid closed. So what was it like?
Oh my God, I forgot about that movie.
No, Chad showed me that clip. Chad showed me the video of the ring, and he's like, that sort of claustrophobia is sort of what we're going for. Like, I don't watch horror movies. Like, I don't watch anything with tension. Like, I'm a Miss Maisel fan. Like, I like lighten out so I can go to sleep. Like, he's trying to get me to watch some video game movie, Last of Us.
The Last of Us.
I can't do it.
Sasha, have you seen The Last of Us? I know we're supposed to talk about our show, but that's a hell of a show.
Yeah, man. For both of you, what was the most challenging scene to portray in this episode?
Mar?
All of the above.
That's fair.
when you look at a script and you're like, oh man, I have 3 or 4 panic attacks. How do I build this journey? How do I make each one distinct? How do I not blow everything on the first one, not have anything left for the last? What informs each one differently? That to me was my actor panic.
There's these moments in between action and cut where a million lights are moving, and we have to reset Marina's costume, and we have to reset Marina's blood, and all of that chaos, all of that, everybody rushing to the point where like there were people in tears. Like it was that ambitious because there was so much stress, and we have to get this in the next 2 minutes, something that should have taken 10. And then they say action. And this one specifically, meaning Marina, having to then let go of that chaos, discover her own chaos, take that, contain it, and make it believable and not just somebody going woo on camera is insane.
One thing I noticed in this episode, Makayla calls Burgess mom. She still calls Ruzek Adam. I'm wondering, is the goal to be called dad eventually? Is that something he wants?
Gosh, I thank you for that question. I think no. I think he'd be surprised if she made that choice. And I think that if he was ever comfortable with her making that choice, it would be her as a young adult. I think that the way that they worked up to Burgess being called mom by Makayla was done thoughtfully and at a pace that as an audience member worked for me. But for me, as the actor playing Adam, I don't think he's in any rush to have some sort of title. I think he already feels it. Burgess has the parenting on lockdown. I think he's happy being her friend, if nothing else. Obviously, he's going to step in and do dad mode when he can, but I think just being a part of her life is what his goal was, not so much having a specific title.
And finally, looking ahead, because Burgess has taken this great step, what can you say of the journey ahead for her, how she handles parenting with Makayla, and also this partnership with Ruzek as well?
At the end of the episode, I sort of briefly touch on the family, but it's really more about work and realizing that work is like a huge part of my identity and not wanting to lose that. And that's sort of why I open up. And I think the next step, if we want Ruzek and Burgess to get to that next step, she's going to have to confront that it's affected her personal life. And I think we can get there. And I'm like pretty excited for like the end of the season to see what will happen if she gets there.